The Lordran Tour has finally returned, with headliners Dark Souls performing their new hit single, One More Soul.
One more soul, give me one more soul to free my head and it's out alone. One more soul, give me one more soul to be content in this life.
You don't want to miss out on this incredible tour, with special guest bands Vadavidya, Plague of Gripes, and Only Afro. Tickets are available now from IndeimausMerch.com.
That introduction once again was done by my good friend Bear Taffy. He did the Estes Energy Drink introduction as well, so we're going to go over to his latest video again and say, hey Bear, I'll take one ticket to the Dark Souls concert, please. And we're just going to ruin his comment section again, and he will love it. Also, subscribe while you're over there, because you've heard his voice, silky smooth. He does Let's Plays, he's got a beautiful voice. That's all you need, baby, let's go. Hello everyone, I'm Indeimaus. Fuck. If you didn't know who that was supposed to be, I apologize. I don't know, just don't worry about it, never mind. Today we'll be discussing something that I'm amazed didn't come before the Dark Souls light sources or the Stone video, because this subject has a lot more substance than those trash tier ideas. I mean, if you suggested stones or light sources, they were fantastic ideas, guys. Really, really great, perfect. If you want to leave more, leave them down below. Really helps in the comments. So we're looking at the 10 deadliest, worst, best traps from the Souls franchise. Honestly, most of the traps are from the original Dark Souls game, with a few Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, and Dark Souls 2 sprinkled throughout. I got your guys' input on Twitter as usual, and there was a surprisingly big lack of Dark Souls 2 traps mentioned. It's been a while since I played it, so I probably missed a few from that one, but leave your favorite traps down below, and be sure to suggest some more delicious video ideas. I already mentioned that, but I'm wearing thin. Wearing thin over here, boys. I'm fucked. So let's jump right into this bad boy with the 10 greatest traps in the Souls franchise. Woo! So firstly, you could consider all the Mimic chests as traps, and this spot is open for whichever was your first Mimic death. But I know for a lot of people, it was the Sen's Fortress Mimic chest, the first one in the game, and the reason that no motherfuckers trusted chests from there on out. I've talked about how it got me the first time, and it's always a blast watching people play this game blind and them just getting fucking destroyed by this cunt. And I'm sure if you played Dark Souls through blindly, you suffered that run back to this location after dying to it, and then you attack it thinking you've got the upper hand this time, but it still grabs you and tears your head from your shoulders anyway. All for what? A bloody lightning spear, mate. A fucking lightning spear. Thanks a lot, Sen's Fortress Mimic. Really appreciate it. So another enemy that is disguising himself as a god-awful trap is the first slime you encounter in the depths. I'm having flashbacks to my first ever Dark Souls enemy video for some reason. I refuse to watch it, but I feel like I've mentioned this son of a bitch before. But as you approach the shiny loot, all of a sudden, kablam! This slippery son of a bitch falls from the ceiling straight under your head, absorbing your health rapidly. Regardless, as soon as you enter the depths, you head down to this grimy, sewer-like location, and there's an item up for grabs to the left, and knowing what you know about Dark Souls being a forgiving experience, you go to pick it up thinking there'll be no consequences, and instead have a big black slime fall from the roof and consume your whole handsome bod. Luckily, unlike the Mimic, the outcome isn't your character's eradication, unless you've already on low health for some reason, which is your own bloody fault. But this is a good warning to keep an eye out on the roof from now on, because there is certainly not just one of these fuckers. This place is littered with black slimes. Fuck the depths. So this is where I could talk about the big boulder traps from Sen's Fortress, and as far as the traps go, these are the most Indiana Jones looking devices in the game, but instead I thought I'd feature the skeleton ball from Dark Souls 3. It has the same basic premise, as in it's a giant ball that rolls after you down a set of stairs, but this one comes with a twist. Because it's a ball of skeletons being controlled by another skeleton, it ignores gravity. So when you see it roll past you down the staircase in the catacombs of Carthage, your brain tells you, that's it, you're a genius and you dodged the trap. And then you start walking down the stairs, and that sense of comfort lasts for about 3 seconds longer before the fucking ball starts rolling back up the stairs towards you, tumbling you over and taking a load of damage, and that's if you're lucky. The staircase is narrow as all hell, so there's a high chance it'll just knock you right off the environment. That's it, you're done. Now I'm fairly sure this whole list could just consist of traps just in Sen's Fortress. That place is just a gauntlet of devices ready to make you wish that you're already dead in real life. So I'm just going to cover a few of them in one spot to make it fair to the other spots on the list. And this one is dedicated to the swinging like pendulum axes that litter the whole area, as well as the dart shooting traps that are waiting for you right after you've dealt with the axes. Honestly, it's just one of my favorite combos, having you bum rush the axes only to hit a pressure plate at the end and you get shot in the ribs about 4 times. It's perfect. Thank you for that. And who fucking built this castle and what's the reason for it? People want to leave Anor Londo and can't be flown or fly, like Smo, for example. Does he have to go through all this bullshit every time he just wants to leave Anor Londo to get a bite to eat? Fucking no wonder he just eats people. They're all there and available. There's a lore nugget for you, Vardy. Smo cannibal because Sen's Fortress is such a fucking bitch. Anyway, From Software didn't separate the axe traps and the dart traps, so neither will I enjoy Sen's Fortress. Yeah, that's right, the Dark Souls 2 E3 trailer is in the trap list. And this is actually coming from someone who enjoyed Dark Souls 2, but come on, this is some Ubisoft bullshit right here. None of the game looks this good. And frankly, we can just blame the last generation of consoles for this atrocious downgrade. And this wasn't even my idea for the list. This was suggested on Twitter, and I just stole it and used it as my own. Kind of like Paragon in his new series, Buyer Beware. So the new Londo Ruins in general is a very creepy, bizarre, and atypical location as it is, and the last thing it needed was this fucking trap, and it's one of the oldest tricks in the book. It's the old, you're safe until you activate an item trap. They give you some seemingly free item, and as soon as you've picked it up, that's when the enemies will spawn. And this isn't just a Dark Souls thing, this happens in a lot of horror games and just games in general. So when you see that Firekeeper soul waiting for you at the end of one of the thinnest walkways in the world, it should set off some alarms in your head. But it doesn't matter because you know you want it, and you're gonna grab it regardless. So once you've walked over to it and obtained your free gift, a bunch of ghosts that you've been fighting thus far appear behind you, ready to fuck you in the ass, or maybe push you off into the water. For some reason, the water, you can just fall straight through it. It doesn't exist. You just fall down into the abyss. It's like a texture or something. Oh, this game franchise is fantastic. Oh good, another Sen's Fortress trap. This is the last one, I promise. And don't make any lame jokes in the comment section about, oh, this is the top 10 traps in Sen's Fortress. More like it. It's not funny, it'll just hurt my feelings. Leave a comment like, great list, Indeimaus. Really funny and good. Keep it up. Or just call me a giant homo or something. Just don't leave a Sen's Fortress joke, I swear to God. So I didn't lump this one in with the axes and the dart traps because I thought this one was a little more subtle and unique. There's this sweet ass elevator just after the first mimic in the game, so at this point you're like, maybe FromSoft will play it cool after they just fucked me so hard with that mimic. Think again. This elevator is absolutely covered in blood from who I'm assuming were the Anor Londo locals trying to make their way home after visiting Grandma and wondering why they pay so much rent for having to deal with this bullshit. So again, your inner alarm starts sounding that there's something wrong with this elevator, but again, you need to ride it. So you hop on and you better fucking roll off of this bitch fast because there is a spike ceiling waiting for you at the top that it won't hesitate to sandwich you into. And personally, I never fell into this trap. I always just rolled off at the top door because there's this little bit of a delay between the door and it moving up into the spike roof. So I didn't even notice until I rolled off, and then I looked up and saw the spikes and I'm like, hey, didn't die. That's great. Check it out, guys. When I asked on my Twitter what your favorite Dark Souls trap is, this guy said, your channel. What a hilarious fucker. I mean, I can't disagree. I can imagine finding my channel and thinking, oh shit, cool, another Dark Souls channel. Hope he discusses the interesting lore and speculates the future of the series, but instead you get me like listing best light sources in Dark Souls. But you've already subscribed and you ain't a bitch, so you won't unsubscribe, so you're stuck forever. That's how I got all my subs. So you've been to the Asylum before, you know what it holds. So when you return to it a little later on, you're ready for it. And it certainly isn't a giant collapsing floor in the main area now. That would be silly. A couple minutes pass, you fell through the floor and you're facing the Asylum Demon Part 2. Enjoy. Yes, this is correct. Indeimaus is talking about Bloodborne. This isn't a fever dream, this is real life. How could I not include the log trap? It's so good, the way it just swings by and then it snaps and it rolls back into you. Kind of reminds me of that staircase scene from Home Alone 2. Let's get him.
Oops.
This trap is just so good. Now let's discuss Bloodborne bosses. That was a trap. So So if you took the Master Key in the original Dark Souls, you probably chose one of the best starting items in the game, certainly if you're a new player. In any other game, the item you chose at the start would probably mean it'll benefit you in some sort of way throughout the game, and while the Master Key certainly does help you out a ton, being able to skip the depths, for example, is a huge favor. I never go there unless I have to be completely honest with you. But when you get up to the tower and you unlock the door thinking that you've unlocked some sort of sweet-ass loot for yourself and that key is finally coming in handy, you're not wrong, but you gotta tackle Havel the fucking Rock first. And if you're not good at backstabbing or just a complete new player in general, Havel is going to completely smash you. Don't give up though, his ring is probably one of the best rings in the game and allows you to wear the heavier gear, so just keep at it. And maybe don't go out the second door either, there's nothing nice out there either, kid.
Right, let me show you, baby. That ain't no woman, it's a man.
Hello everyone, I'm Indeimaus.